Yo, 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 yo. What's up? What's up? Detroit is definitely in the building via your headphones, stereo speakers. I'm your man's the African Caesar, and this is why we have test runs. Um, Wanted to do a different concept. Wanted to try something new. Been doing a podcast thing since what 2014, and it's been fun. Doing it once a week has been quite the experience. But me, the thinker that I am, I'm like, okay, what's the next step? Podcasting is one thing. Radio is a whole nother beast. Radio is something that requires a lot more diligence, work, grind, and whatnot. But at the same time, it gives me consistent engagement throughout the week as opposed to just once a week with the podcast. And it's a different beast altogether. And I just thought, you know, with the stagnation with sneaker content lately, that this would be the I don't know something new, something different. Because everybody's kind of doing the same thing. Everybody's doing a podcast now. Everybody's a sneaker reviewer now. Everybody is pretty much doing the same thing. Like, not too much creativity is being done other than new names and faces, right? They kind of just repackaging the same thing. And so this is just my way of just kind of putting something different out there. Like, we did that with the podcast, um, and the podcast will still be a thing, but and we kind of called it last year. We started calling ourselves a show or a radio show. Um, and I think we actually started that when we was with DTLR because we was actually on the radio back then, even though it was once a week. And then they started just kind of chopping up the episodes and kind of playing it throughout the week. Um, this will be more of a consistent thing, hopefully. Like I said, this is the test run. I'm doing it on Sneaker Bar Detroit because I did not realize that YouTube um, has a 24-hour um, waiting period. So when you start a new channel, you can't just go live. So I didn't know that. I should have did my homework on that. I did my homework on everything else but that. Like, I got this, equipment. I got the vMix and all the other things you need to stream. And so I just assumed, like any other social media platform, that you could just go on and just go live. And so they got a 24-hour wait period. So we're doing a test stream with Sneaker Bar Detroit. And then we have our own channel, the Sneaker Box, that you can go to. We'll start streaming from there live every day. And the whole concept is I'm going to start the show off, if I have a co-host. Today I'm kind of doing a solo dolo. But if we have a co-host, obviously we're going to just kind of talk our shit and whatnot. But we want to start it off with releases, because there's, at this point, sneakers don't just come out on Saturdays; they come out throughout the week. And so, to kind of give you guys a better idea of what's coming out that day, we thought we would start the show at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because most releases, release at 10 o'clock. So that gives you an hour to kind of get your bearings if you're interested in the shoes that are coming out that day. So start the show off with that day's releases, let you know where you can get them, where you can buy them, because it's not enough just to tell you this shoe comes out on this date, right? Like, so, because with all these different channels where you can buy shoes, whether it's retailers like Foot Locker, resale sites like eBay, StockX, or just directly from the brands themselves, like the Sneakers app or the Confirmed app with Adidas, um, giving you guys more of a direct lane, giving you guys information as far as how to get the shoes. And then from there, the show will be just like any other show that we do. We have the news and different segments. But like I said, this is more of a test run just to see what that would look like. What you would think, with the first show, it should feel like just doing the podcast. And it kind of does. Um, Although I think I'm in my own head for right now, because the concept of doing this 5 days a week is scary. It's like, okay, especially when you take that first step out there, especially when you're the first one, right? Because it hasn't really been done before, at least with sneakers, because nobody thought or nobody thinks that there's enough content to fill a week with. Um, But then I always lean back on the podcast. Like nobody thought a sneaker podcast was viable, and we did it. And at the time, we were told just to do an hour. And then I was just kind of like, yo, bump that. We could do 2 hours because Lord knows between me and Guru, that hour goes by pretty fast. So um, we moved it to 2 hours, and then that became the standard. And then everybody and their mama started doing podcasts. And I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying, um, after a while, you look for ways to separate yourself from the pack, right? You don't want to just be, um, you know, another one of the group. Hey, we got comments already. Joe Brown, what up? Congrats on the new format. Keep hustling. Appreciate it. Kay Watson, glad you're back. Appreciate it. An average and unaverage Joe, my bad. He just simply said, hey. All right, well, that's what's up. Um, and that's another thing too. Hopefully we get a phone line set up so that people can call in. But until then, you can definitely hit us up in the live chat and we'll try to respond to, or at least I'll try to respond to questions and comments, things of that nature. Like I said, this is something that we want to do 5 days a week going forward. This is something that we want to do every morning, ideally, for at least for me, because I want to treat this just like a radio show, but for sneakerheads. So, 5 days a week, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless it's like a holiday or some type of emergency. And even if it's something that I can foresee, we'll try to put up like a best of episode so that you at least still have content. But other than that, yeah, I want to at least do like a 2-hour show every morning. Not for if we can do longer than that, we can. Like ideally, I want to do 3 hours, so 9 to noon, to kind of help you get you through your work day, get your day started. I know for the West Coast, it's 6 o'clock. So you're probably just not waking up. So yeah, so I'm definitely Sneaker Shop Talk. What's up, man? Good morning. Good morning. What's going on? So yeah, anyway, this is going to be the new format. This is going to be it. So with that being said, we do have a release for today. I believe the Billie Eilish special edition Nike Air Force One is dropping on the sneakers app. Matter of fact, I think it's an entire collection. We got the Air Force One with the like a million straps on that shoe. I gotta admit that I don't hate it as much as I thought I would. Not that I want them, and I'm surprised they come in men's sizes. So her first two releases, I'm not sure if they came in women's sizes. And I know the 15 for sure came in women's sizes. The Jordan 1 KO, I'm not sure. I want to assume that also came in women's sizes. I didn't check for that because they were basic, so I didn't care. And she seems to stick to that same basic theme where it's just like, all right, this one color. There's more than one color in the crayon box. There's more than one color in the rainbow. Like you are allowed to use more than one color, Billie Eilish. You don't have to just stick to one color. At least I could say she did something as far as the design on this shoe, like the first two shoes. Well, I guess she did something different with the 15 as well. And I know some people might point out, well, the materials. Like, they've been tinkering with recycled and vegan materials already, so I don't know if I can give her too much credit for that. But she did kind of change some of the design aesthetic on the Air Jordan 15. And honestly, I'm not even gonna knock. First off, I'm a fan of the size. I'm a fan of the size 15. Duh, I wear a size 15. I'm a fan of the Air Jordan 15. So I was tempted to give those a look. It's just funny to me how people claim to hate a particular pair of shoe until it becomes a collaboration. All of a sudden, people love it, i.e., the Air Jordan 2. Like, there's a reason why we didn't see a whole lot of Air Jordan 2 retros, and then all of a sudden there's this newfound love of Air Jordan 2s now that there's off-white Air Jordan 2s, and there's Union 2s, and there's Meniere 2s, and all these other 2s coming out. So all of a sudden it's this newfound love of 2s. So, and I guess that's the point. But it just seems a little artificial. It's just, hype beastish. That's exactly what it is. It's hype beastish. It's just, you know. And so, yeah, it's one thing that kind of slowly come around. Is all of a sudden, like, just imagine, um, like somebody doesn't like you, then all of a sudden you hit the lottery, and then they like you. That's what it feels like. That's what it just like. Like, do you really like me, or do you like me because of what I'm able to provide? In this case, collaborations provide clout. That's what it comes down to. It's all about the clout. So, um, yeah. So but if you like it, I love it. If you genuinely love the shoe, or you are just that big of a fan of Billie Eilish to where you would just buy anything she hawks in your direction, hey, who am I to stop you? I guess I can't knock that. But she does have a collection, which includes apparel. But for the purposes of this show, we're going to just focus on the shoe. The shoe itself, like I said, I don't hate. I got a million straps on there. Fine. Um, Looks a little Moon Knight-ish. But, I don't hate it. I'm just over, and and I don't mean to beat up on the Billie Eilish shoe, because I really don't hate the shoe, but I'm just, for the purposes of conversation, I'm just kind of using it to kind of launch into what I consider to be kind of I don't know if I want to call it lazy, but I definitely want to call it lethargic. The nature of uh, sneaker collaborations, where it just kind of seems like they seem kind of bland lately. They just seem kind of lazy lately. And the reason I've always picked on collaborations, because I hold them to a higher expectation, right? Because for a brand, right, you release shoes damn near 3-4 days a week, right? So not every shoe is going to be a home run. There's going to be some design fatigue. I get it, right? So you can't necessarily, and talking to a lot of designers who are in the industry, a lot of their ideas have to go through such red tape and bureaucracy. And a lot of times the brands just want to play it safe, right? Experimenting takes risk, and nobody really wants to do that. So I can't blame the brands for every blue moon dropping a dud or dropping something basic, because they gotta fill the release calendar with something. However, collaborations, now let me say this too. Let me preface it by saying I understand that not all collaborations are equal. Some collaborations aren't collaborations at all. Some collaborations are just simply, hey, we've had this colorway that we didn't want to release on our own, so we want to use your name and call it a collaboration. You know, um, I think Detroit versus Everybody, to me was resembling of that, where it was just a black and red. What was it, a top 10? And it just had Detroit versus Everybody on there, which is cool for him. I'm happy for Tommy for that, but it didn't feel like a true collaboration. Like, what story are you telling? Like, what was the theme behind this? Like, there was no concept. It was just random colorway with branding, and so, and that's what a lot of collaborations feel like. And then you have other collaborations where I don't know if they just kind of like get high off their own hype, where they just think, okay, I can just pretty much do anything. And and this isn't even about trash, because trash. When you say something is trash, that's your opinion, right? And some people are able to articulate why, and then other people just say trash just for the sake of saying trash. Some people just like being controversial, and they go for low hanging fruit. But I at least like to offer why. However, it just seems like a lot of these collaborations just seem basic. It seems like everybody's just copying the same. It seems like people just kind of taking pages from like Off-White, like they go like this deconstructed design, or a lot of colorways seem to just kind of like, all right, just all cream or mostly cream. Um, I pointed out the unions, the Union 4s, and I know a lot of people love the Union 4s. I, for one, I was like hard pass. I didn't like either colorway, and it just seemed half finished, right? Like the upper, okay, like for the sake of argument, if you see beauty, you see beauty. I saw different. However, the midsole and outsole were just basically unfinished. It was just all cream, and I just kind of felt like, were you under a time constraint? Like, did Jordan Brand put a timer on the table and say you got 90 seconds to design a shoe. Like it just seemed like you ran out of time and you just kind of focused on the upper and did very little to the rest of the shoe. And I just kind of feel like, that's like leaving pages empty on the book, right? Like you focused on this half of the book, but then there's like chapters left unfinished. And so, yeah, it's just to me like use the whole shoe, use the entire shoe to tell that story. And the more I look at it, a lot of these releases, like the album in year two, it's just a rehash of the ones. Like if I didn't see the ones, I'd probably be more impressed with the twos. But because I saw the ones, it just kind of seems like a remix of a remix. If you know what I'm saying. So it's just I'm not really feeling them. We got some more comments. Jesse Christ, what's up, man? Good morning. Good morning. So yeah, but like I said, like this is all just to kind of create a conversation and kind of get your minds percolating, get you to think, right? And so that's where my mind goes with these collaborations. I would like to see more uniqueness. Now, as much shit as I give him, what's the guy who made the ugliest Jordan ones I've ever seen? Jay something. I can't remember, but I at least give him credit for at least going crazy. Like if if you get a collaboration, go ham, right? I can at least give him credit for that. He did his, he did what he wanted to. Let's put it like that. He did what he wanted to. I really wish I could remember his name. I wish. See, this is the benefit of having like co-hosts because what you can't remember, they will, right? And so doing the solo dolo, whatever I forget, it's just out there in the ether, right? Like I just gotta sit here and do the old Google search. J Jordan 1. Let's see, I'll just put that in there and just see what happens. Oh shit, J Balvin. That was it. So J Balvin, yeah, J Balvin. Honestly, if you asking me, made one of the ugliest Air Jordans, and that's pretty hard to do when you consider the Jordan 1 is a pretty simple silhouette, which is why I think it's universally beloved because it goes dope with everything, right? Like it's the new Air Force One, and so to ruin it takes a lot of work to ruin a Jordan 1, and to me they were hot garbage. But I will say this: it's definitely unique. You know that's a J Balvin shoe when you see it, and now I can still argue that he didn't do anything with the midsole outsole too. But with the upper like that, maybe less was more. I don't know. But yeah, it was just. But with this collaboration, even with the two, it's supposed to like light up or something. There's rumors about what exactly that thing is supposed to look like and supposed to do. But even with that being said, it's unique, it's different, it's outside the box. It isn't just blandness. And I just feel like if you're going to give somebody the opportunity to do a collaboration, if it's the brand's doing where they're like, handcuffing the collaborator, to take off the handcuffs. That's the whole point of collaboration, right? Like you obviously need them or want them, so let them do their thing, right? It'll be a welcome departure from what you normally give us. And if it's on a collaborator, yo, like think outside the box. If you're just gonna drop something that would have normally dropped anyway, or something that looks like a general release, then what's the fucking point? Like, it should be something unique and different. That's just my opinion. That's my 2 cents. Let me know how y'all feel in the comments. But anyway, like I said, Billie Eilish, if you are a fan of Billie Eilish or if you like that shoe is once again dropping on the sneakers app this morning at 10 a.m. And there will also be apparel to go along with it, which I think is also dope too. Because I don't know how often we see apparel. We see it sometimes. Like I know I see it with Beyonce and her Blue Ivy brand, and she got the apparel with the shoes, and I think that's dope. And I remember back there was a time where Jordan Brand used to drop dope apparel, just in a regular, right? Whenever a shoe came out, they had shirts and shorts to go along with that particular release. My bad. I'm cat sitting, so this cat is just all over me right now. And for the record, I don't like having pets, but you know, doing a favor for somebody. So not that I don't like pets. How do I want to say this? I don't want Peter on my ass on the first show. Um, hmm. I like animals, but I don't want to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be able to just go to the zoo, take a picture, wave at them, and go home. You know, like I don't want to have to take you home with me, feed you, because at that point you're just another child. At that point, I gotta feed you, take care of you, take you to the vet, all this other shit that I don't want to do. I want to see you when I want to see you. If I want to go see a tiger or a cat or any animal, I want to be able just to go in, walk in, pay an admission fee if I have to. Like I said, take some pictures and dip. You know what I'm saying? I leave all the hard parts as far as taking care of to the zookeepers. I don't want to have to do all that. Now I get it. Some animals become a part of family and it's a family member, blah, blah, blah. Man's best friend, all that good stuff. And that's great. For those that applies to, I'm happy for you. I wish you nothing but the best as far as your relationship with whatever animal you just so happen to be the owner of. I don't. Yeah, I have one daughter. I'm good. Like, if I wanted more kids, I would have more kids. I don't want a pet. Like, at least with kids, they at some point are able to take care of themselves. Like now, my daughter's at the age where it's just like, "Daddy, what's for dinner?" And I'm like, "Look in the freezer." Like I pick something. There's a microwave on the counter for a reason. We have a stove for a reason. Like not every day I feel like cooking. Not every day I feel like going out to eat. There are just gonna be some days you might just have to pull out a frozen pizza. She can do that. I don't have to do it for her no more. She can pour her own cup of milk. She can make her own bowl of cereal. Whatever, right? Like, and so with animals, you have to do all that. Like I just no, I just don't want to do all that. This feels like a radio show already because I'm just going off on tangents and everything. Joe Brown, yeah, that D versus E Adidas drop was underwhelming, and that scavenger hunt attached to him was so unnecessary. Yeah, see, and that's another thing too. I'm glad you brought that up, Joe. Thank you. Um, that's another thing I want to bring up too. Like, I've said it on the show. Like, you got the sneakers app, you got the scavenger hunt that he just referenced. You got the sneakers app where allegedly the more you engage with the content, the higher your chances are to get certain shoes. Listen, I'm not trying to do all that work. I've done enough work to earn the money to pay for your product. I'm not about to do any more work to get a shoe or a product. If that makes me old, if that makes me cranky, if that makes me a curmudgeon, fine. I'm not about to jump through these flaming hoops for y'all. Like, I'm not. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not about to sit up here and do all this extracurricular activity for free just for a chance, not even a promise, a chance to get a shoe. I'm good on that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, man. Like I no, I've done enough work. I put in my 40 hours. You know what I'm saying? My real job. What makes you think I want to do more work for free just for the chance to get your product? And chances are the chance that whatever chances have improved on me getting the product still pales in comparison to the chances of me not getting it, right? So I went from what 10% to what 13% of getting the shoe. I'm good on that. I'm good on that. I'm not no, and I will forever laugh at. I don't know. I need to find this article, but I just remember the the CEO of Nike, John Donahoe. He did an interview and he was talking about he buys shoes through the sneakers app too, and he misses out on releases too. And my eyes could not roll back into my skull any further when he said that. Like, shut up! Like, you do not go through the sneakers app. You are the CEO of Nike. If they listen, if LeBron James, who technically is an employee of Nike, then if the employee can get the product, you as the CEO most definitely can get the product. So yeah, miss me with that. I'm no, no, no. It's just no. I'm, there's no fucking way. And so yeah, I'm just yeah. It's just, but yeah, these brands now because they're trying to create engagement, right? So they have to think of ways like scavenger hunts or, if you watch our content, that gives you a better chance and all this other stuff to get you to go to their app or to get you to be more involved in their product launches. Just drop the product. At this point, it is what it is. Just drop the product. All we ask for is a fair shake, right? Do more about these bots. You know what I'm saying? Do more about resellers. Do more about that. Like, skip all the extracurricular shit, all the flaming hoops that we got to jump through. The flaming hoop that we're tired of jumping through is trying to outmaneuver these bots. Do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care about your content. Like the sneakers app, I appreciate the opportunities it's giving certain folks to kind of up their profile. That's great. I love it. However, the content is boring as hell because you're talking about a corporation and they have to play it safe. So basically, it's like watching church on TV. To me, it is. And if it appeals to you, I'm not knocking it. There's some people that love church on TV. I don't. So I get bored very easily. I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, all right. There's nothing useful here for me. And let's be honest, most people are there hoping that a product drops as they're watching it so they can be first, in line. And that's the real reason. It's not like they just love the content so much. And I'm for sure not doing a fucking scavenger hunt. I'm good on that. Maybe when I was younger. And maybe that's what it's supposed to appeal to. Maybe I'm outside the demographic, and that's fine too. However, I will say, as far as demographics are concerned, like it seems like a lot of companies are still operating under this 1980s uh, demographic. Um, what's the word I want to use? Ideology, where this age bracket is the target, and it's like things have kind of changed nowadays. Like before, and I've said this many times on the podcast. So if I sound like I'm being redundant, that's because you've listened to the show enough to you've heard me say it a million times. But for the purposes of the new listener, let me say it one more time. People are not aging out of their hobbies anymore. They're sticking with them. There was a time where once you reached the mid 30s, you just dropped whatever it was. If you were into video games, you didn't play them as much. If you were into music, you didn't play it as much. If you were into sneakers, you didn't buy them as much. Now people are actually sticking with them well into their 40s, 50s, and 60s. They're not dropping them as like they used to. So you got to kind of you got to at least reevaluate the demographic marketing structure as it was to me. But that's just somebody who pays attention. Um, I watch ads. Out of 3 years of sneakers, I've never hit a draw. You and everybody else. Like, it's almost like a rare occurrence to see somebody who has. It's like fucking unicorns out here. It's just wow. Like, man, you hit them sneakers out. Like, honestly, like I mean, it's almost surprised. Like, I'm almost surprised when I see the the got 'em graphic. Whatever that day's release is, and you got 'em, and it's almost like how. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you lucky son of a bitch. Um, yeah, but I've heard of. I mean, you're not the only one, man. Like, it does seem like it is hard to get a win on sneakers up. I've heard. I mean, and dude, it's not even weird to see people say I've gone years. Like, imagine it. Imagine going to a website for years trying to buy a product and not being able to get anything. That is fucking ridiculous. Like, honestly, and I'm trying not to cuss a lot, but man, like, I mean, but here's the thing though. We kind of feed into it though. Like, the reason changes aren't made because they don't feel pressured to make the changes. Because we're going to be there every week looking to buy the next release. So if you're Nike, why are you going to make changes? It's not until people say, you know what, I don't need this shit anymore. I don't need to deal with this anymore. I'm tired of the L's. You know what? I don't need your shoes. I don't need your product. Then you'll see changes. But as long as we're gonna show up every Saturday, like I gotta have it, I gotta have it, I gotta have it, you know, they're gonna continue going business as is, business as usual. Like that's the long short of it. And that's why for me personally, I stopped. Like I don't like I will look at a shoe and just be like, I don't need it. I don't need it. I just like unless I absolutely have to have a shoe. And I gotta be honest with you, and I probably shouldn't say this because I feel like I'm about to set myself up for failure in the future. But I've gotten more wins on the Nike app than I have the sneakers app. Now I feel like the sneakers app is probably for they say it's for the sneakerhead. That shit is 100% for the hype beast at this point. But I feel like if you're a sneakerhead, it doesn't matter how limited the shoe is. If the shoe is dope, it's dope, right? So the Nike app, because there's a difference. There are shoes that release strictly on the Nike app that you won't even see in the sneakers app, right? And so yeah, like Jordan 36s, probably one of my favorite shoes of the year. The colorways have been dope. I mean, it's probably one of the better recent Jordans that I've seen. Like honestly, I cannot love this shoe enough. Like this shoe has not one flaw in it. Like I love everything about it. It's a performance. Like to have a shoe that's both a performance shoe and looks dope. See, this is how Nike made their name. Like Nike in the last 15 years has either been super dope or super performative, right? But very rarely did you have something that was performance savvy but looked dope, or looked dope but lacked the internal components to be comfortable, or performance. And so when you get something that's both dope looking and feels great in your feet, is man, it's a win. And that's what made Nike successful back in the day. Like all the shoes were dope and they were all performance. And now you got Nike sportswear, so where they give you the same look of a shoe, but they take away the tech and it's not as. And so with the Jordan 36, one of my favorites. So, but I've gotten more wins on the Nike Plus app. I mean, yeah, Nike Plus than I've had in the sneakers app, because everybody and their mother is gravitating to the sneakers app. If it's not in the sneakers app, they don't want it. Not too many people are going crazy over Air Max 270, whatever. But like I said, real sneakerheads love general releases because we just love sneakers. It doesn't have to be limited for us to like it. And so, um, but yeah, so that's where I've been getting most moments. Matter of fact, I've been like I probably bought more Nike by use in the last year and a half than I ever have previous to that. And I think part of the reason why I was just like, look, man, well, if I can't get this, at least I can custom make something that's a one of one, that's legit, and at least I can get that. but here's the crazy part. Even some Nike by use, like depending on the unlocked, because they got this thing unlocked where certain graphics or certain materials are unlocked. They had the anniversaries about a year ago. They just recently had another anniversary where it's like a metallic type of look to it. Um, so they do have that, but now I will say I wish they would open up more colorway material options than they do. But you know, complaining doesn't seem to really get Nike's ear. What does get their ear is your wallet. You just saying, you know what? I'm gonna keep my money in my pocket. That gets their attention. Oh wow, there's a lot of comments. Sneaker shop talk. When it comes to sneakers, I don't even try anymore. I already know the outcome. You and everybody else, bro. Like I said, like I'm not surprised by that. I'm not surprised by that at all. Chris L, I hit on the Brotherhood once, almost a year since my last got them. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Like, think about that. 12 months. 12 calendar months went by before this man got another win on the app. That's ridiculous. I'll launch into what I was going to say later. It's all about scarcity and all that other shit, right? I watch ads says, are you guys planning on having Juan back on the show? Uh, You know what? I would not be against it. We just have to have a conversation, man to man. The way things ended with that whole situation, um, you know, um, yeah, there's a lot of things. I want to say there's a lot of things left unsaid, but there's a lot of shit this motherfucker said. So a lot of stuff I got to respond to. So, you know what I'm saying? So, but I wouldn't be against having a conversation. So here's the thing, like now that I'm older, like me 5 years ago, I'd probably be like, yo, like we're done for life. You know what I'm saying? Maybe in another lifetime we could be friends. But, you get to a certain age and you get to a certain point where you realize life is short, right? And to stay mad at someone or about something, that takes work. And I just said earlier, I'm not trying to work for free. You know what I'm saying? So, to stay mad about something or at someone requires you to work at it. And so, yeah, I'm just not. So, to me, I'm like over a lot of stuff. And, I like to put my energy towards things that might actually contribute or add to my life. And staying mad ain't contributing to nothing but my stress, and stress kills you, So, um, wouldn't be against having a show, but it would just require having a conversation first, and burying the proverbial hatchet, so to speak. Um, but I mean, Juan was a funny dude. Like, I mean, there's no denying that he was a funny dude. Um, but funny has more than one definition. You know what I'm saying? So, and I just felt like at times he fit both definitions. And so, um, but yeah, I would not be against having on the show again. I would not be against having a conversation, sitting down, talking things out. Man to man. I've never been afraid of a conversation, bro. Like at all. Anybody that's known me for any amount of time, anybody's been listening to the show, I've never been afraid of conversation. Like you can't have the mouth I have and travel to different events, travel to talk to different people, meet with different brands, and be afraid of conversation. Like what I'm saying? Because it's real. I say this all the time. It's real easy to get behind this microphone and just talk reckless. It's real easy because you're in the safety of your environment, right? But once you leave that environment and you go to places where people listen to you, where people heard you, and they approach you, you have to maintain that same energy. Otherwise, you come off as inauthentic, dishonest, fake, all of those things. And so I've always, not that I'm trying because I'm being myself, so I don't have to try. But I've always, aimed to be honest and authentic. And, even if you disagree with me, that's fine. But, at least you could say, like he was true to character, he's true to self. And that's why I try to articulate why I feel certain ways or why I do certain things, so that people at least, even if once again if you don't agree, you can at least have some semblance of understanding, right? Um, Chris L. Why change when he consistently sell out on that concept, plus trending on social media every time when a major release hits? I 100% agree. I 100% agree with you on that. It's just then that goes back. I was going to mention it, but I'm glad Chris kind of referenced it. Scarcity. That's what it's about. People want what they can't have. People want to be a part of the elite group. And the thing about the elite group is it's not enough space for everybody. So you feel special being a part of that group. This is what we call clout, right? And so clout sells. And that's why sneakers have been thriving the last decade, because brands went into clout mode. They were like, okay, this is what they want. Okay, well, how do we create that? Well, let's manufacture demand. Let's scale back the production numbers so it's only so much to go around. So it works in two ways. One, well, it works in multiple ways. One, if there's only enough product to go around, what happens? The demand goes up, which means the resale value goes up, right? Which means that one, they can drop that same exact shoe years later and there's still a demand for it. Two, they can raise the price and people might complain, but it's justified. Would you be willing to spend $500 or 200? Like everybody, this is what I find funny, right? So Jordan ones. No, let's just say Jordans. Let's just use regular Jordans. On average, they go up $200. So now they added the extra 200. I mean, the extra $25. So now it's $225. And people are like, "Oh my God, $25! Oh, that's some bullshit." You were just willing to pay $300. You were just willing to pay $300 in the resale market. You don't think Nike sees that? You don't think Jordan brands? You don't think any brand sees that? Like they got eyes, multiple eyes, because they got multiple people looking at this shit. So if you want to spend $300+, you're willing to spend $225. That's just their logic. This is why I said I stopped. Listen, I'm not gonna complain about a shoe and then buy it, right? I'm not gonna complain. Like, okay, what I'm most famous for known. I'm most famous for known. I'm most famous for being, or I'm more known for going off on their Black History Month collection, right? I've been going off on that collection for the last couple of years, to the point where they just like, we don't even want to make it no more. I think this past year it was a Nike by You. It wasn't even an official release. It was like, look, if y'all choose to make your own Air Force One, here's some black, red, and green colorways for you, right? What would it look like if I spent all that time complaining about it, but I'm buying the product every year? What is that telling Nike? What is that telling Nike? Yeah, he's complaining about it, but he doesn't feel convicted enough to not buy them. If you're going to complain about something, you have to put action behind that, right? So you can't complain about something and still buy it, right? And so, yeah, they see that's what they can raise the price. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, the more I see behind the scenes, the more it's like the Matrix. I'm starting to see the numbers, right? I just see the numbers flowing, right? I could just see it, because it's a game, man. It's just like, it works on so many levels. And until we say, you know what, we don't want the product that bad, until you make these changes, they're going to continue to act the way they've been acting. That's just the bottom line. Sneaker Shop Talk. Facts that Jordan 36 is amazing on and off the court. Yeah. I watch ads. Man, when I first seen the show, I felt the chemistry between the SB team was so genuine. No, and that's the thing I would say about our show. Like, no matter who's on the show, like, it's always been a camaraderie. Like, because we're all friends. Like, we hang out. Like, we literally traveled around the country together. Like, sharing the same space in a car. Living under the same roof for a weekend. You know what I'm saying? That brings people close together. Like, we're literally like a family. Me, Guru, Jumpman, Sneaker Girl, MJ, Serena, Dunks, Gino. Who else has been on the show? I mean, even people that have been on the show a couple times. Clue, Mayor, JC. It's people I can like call and talk to and like actually talk to, not just hey, I'm looking for this shoe. Like, have legit conversations with and whatnot, and Mosh. So yeah, it's but I get what you're saying though. Like, I mean, everybody that's been on the show at some point in time, we've had that vibe because it was honest, it was real. Like, when Juan was on the show, we were really friends, and then when he wasn't on the show, we really weren't friends like that. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much the longest short. By the way, if you're looking for the Billie Eilish Air Force Ones, damn, wow, that sheesh, that is damn. When you say it like that, now I feel dumb for even buying these shoes. Now, all you had to say it like that, because that's exactly what it is, though. We are a seller. Yay! I got to give you my $200. Wow. When you think, like, it's so funny how when you frame things, framing is everything, which is why they put so much into marketing, right? Because marketing is essentially framing something, right? And it's framing a product to make it sellable. And when you frame it like that, I mean, it almost snaps you out of it, right? Damn. Shout out to Sneaker Shop Talk, man, for making me feel dumb. I watch ads. Seriously, the Black History Month shoes should be better. They put out low input originality because they don't care. That's the thing. Like, they don't care. Black History Month is a marketing tool for them. And that's been my beef. You don't use something like that as a marketing tool. Like I understand it, as a sneaker company, if you really wanted to pay homage, right? Obviously Nike being a shoe company, and if they really felt obliged to pay homage to Black History Month, they're gonna do it through shoes. I understand that, but if that was the real intent, you would see the effort. We don't see the effort, so therefore that that's not really their intention. Their intention is just kind of use this as a marketing tool, as a ploy to sell sneakers, as opposed to using sneakers to pay homage. And so intent is everything, man. And it's sad that after all these years, I mean, think about it. They've been, I don't know when they first started doing it, but it's been like 15 plus years. And it's just sad to see the declines pack. Here's the Arthur Ashe pack. Like, let's take a story or take a prominent personality from Black history and use that as a theme. And I liked it. Now, you might not like the execution as far as how it came out on the shoes, but at least you can respect the effort. And this is why I've never knocked. This is why I never knocked them. You don't see me going hard on Adidas because I'm like, okay, you tried. You tried. It's almost like when a kid like studies real hard and they still end up with a C. It's like, yeah, okay, you might have got a C or a D, even a D, right? I'm not mad at you because I saw you tried. Like, you just wasn't good at this. You know what I'm saying? Like you just couldn't stick the landing, but you tried, and I can't be mad at you for that. And so that's what I feel like, But with Nike, it's just like they ain't even trying. They're not even doing the homework. So it's no surprise when they get a D. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay. And they don't care. They don't care. It's like, okay, yeah, we got a D in this, but we getting an A everywhere else. So, overall the GPA still manages to look decent because they got like 7 A's but 1 D, right? Let's see. I watch ads. I understand that Jackie Robinson has his own day, but he should have a shoe that releases in that month along with many other important figures that have changed the course of history. Well, that's been my beef. That's been my beef with the whole thing. Like, I mean, you ain't even got to just use Jackie Robinson. Black history is deep with culture, deep with stories, deep with prominent people who not only contributed to Black history, but just contributed to history itself in general, American history and otherwise, right? So there's so many things you can tap into if you really wanted to. But that's the thing, you gotta really want to. And I'm not sure that a brand like Nike really wants to. So, I mean, like I said, it's evident. When they really want to, and that's the thing. That's the thing that really pisses me off about it is that we've seen them when they really want to put something into something, right? And we see how that turns out. So that's why I get so frustrated because I've seen you try. I've seen you put effort into something, and it's brilliant when you do it, which makes it even more noticeable when you don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Especially for something as important as to me as a Black man, Black history. That's the frustrating thing about it. And so, uh, yeah, it's just like, yo, what? It's infuriating. It just really is. It's really infuriating how little effort they put into something like that. Over years, though, that's the thing. Like, I mean, you're talking about over a decade of no effort. I mean, to the point where it went from Tier Zero collection to Nike by You. Like, man, like, and I might even do this. This is what I'm gonna do. Sometime this week, I'm gonna post. So a couple years ago, because so like I said, complaining means nothing if you don't put action behind it, right? So at some point, I realized, okay, I've gone on the podcast and I've railed against this collection year after year after year, complaining. Okay, well, it's not enough just to complain. Let me put action behind it. So what did I do? I created a pitch deck to submit to Nike, excuse me, to build upon their Black History Month collection using the things and concepts that uh, we just talked about. Pulling from Black history to tell those stories and using sneakers as the vehicle to tell those stories. And so, me being a Black man from Detroit, what was the first thing? Like, that's the thing. So this is why I go. This is why I keep going back to effort, right? Because there's so many things that they could tap into on the surface. You ain't even got a deep dive into anything, right? There's so many surface level things that you could tap into that they just don't, right? But, and this is an example. Me being a Black man from Detroit was the first thing I thought of. Motown. Motown. Black enterprise, right? Put together a pitch deck to do this shoe, and uh, we had a series of meetings, and that's how this thing usually goes, right? You meet with somebody, they like it, then they push it up the ladder. It's almost like a rung system. It's almost like Mortal Kombat, right? All right, you beat this person, now you got to beat this person until you get to the boss fight. And so we got to the boss fight, and we were told, I swear to God, luckily I have a witness because people probably would believe me if I said it. We were told that Motown was local, meaning local to just Detroit, and Nike was global. I was told that uh, kids might not pick up on it because kids don't know about Motown, which honestly may or may not be true given this generation. But to me, one, that was the point. That was the point of a Black History Month collection, was to take those stories and use sneakers to shine a light on them, to put them out in the forefront, to use sneakers to take these stories that were underserved and give them their day, right? And let's be honest, we're talking about Motown, right? Stevie Wonder, the Temptations, Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, like global icons, all came from this little studio in Detroit. You go anywhere on the planet and say any of those names, and they know who you're talking about. So miss me with that Nike's global, Motown's local shit, right? And honestly, I was so infuriated. Like, I almost went off then. But I took my time to calm down because I knew if I responded then the way I wanted to, we would probably never have a conversation ever again with Nike. So I calmed down, sent this person an email, and we had a conversation later. But at this point, this person was no longer a part of the Black History Month collection, and they did give me some names to reach out to, which I will do. But what I also will do, I will, excuse me, sometime this week, post the pitch deck that we submitted just to get people's response. And honestly, I want y'all to give me y'all feedback. I honestly want y'all feedback. For anybody listening right now or who will listen to this, when I go to social media, I probably should have shouted out to social media. Like, once again, that's radio 101, right? Like, give the number, give the social media tag. So anyway, for those of you guys listening, social media handles on Instagram for the show is the sneakerbox_show. And then my personal Instagram is African with a K _ Caesar. So it's African Caesar, CAESAR. And then you can follow the show on Twitter at TSB_show. You can go on Facebook and look up the Sneaker Box radio show page. Yeah, so I might post the pitch deck later. Now, I've been reluctant to do it because I've been trying to work behind the scenes and whatnot, but, things get stagnant and things don't move. And sometimes it requires public pressure to get the ball rolling again. So we'll see what happens. Now, I will say this, the problem that I did face at some point was, because I tried to involve Motown as much as I could, try to get them involved in it. And it's from what I heard, I don't know officially, but I did hear from some people that Motown kind of went behind my back and tried to do something on their own, which technically is legal. I mean, because I don't own Motown. Like, that's their brand, that's their name. Like, so they could do whatever they want to without me. It's just you didn't have the thought until I brought it to you. You didn't have an idea until I brought it to you. So to kind of, you know, um, do that just kind of seems messed up, but you know, messed up ain't illegal. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But um, it's this, yeah. So that was kind of, and then when you do stuff like that, like when you, because at the end of the day, Nike is Nike shoes, is Nike products, is Motown's name, is Motown's branding. So there's nothing I can do. So if I post this, there's nothing. I might be able to say, I might be able to sue or whatever, but even that's an uphill battle, right? Because you can't copyright an idea, right? Um, so I don't know. I don't know the legalities of that, but you just kind of putting yourself in a box when you do that. So anyway, enough about me. Let's get back to some of these shoes. Um, I watch as we need those Patty LaBelle fours. Hey man, I ain't against it. Anyway, there are some news. Well, I want to bring back a lot of the segments throughout the week too. So on Mondays we'll do like our Fab Five. Anybody's been doing listening to the podcast, you know what that is. And the Fab Five is basically our top five releases from the previous week, because a lot of shoes come out over the weekend. Because Saturdays are the marquee day for sneaker releases. So we kind of like to bridge in between each week with our Fab Five sneaker releases, and obviously being from Michigan, you know where Fab Five comes from. So you pick our top five shoes from last week. We didn't have five shoes from last week that we liked, so we're gonna just kind of skip that. Definitely have an ugliest release of the week, which is something we'll do every Monday as well, and that is the Adidas Yeezy Foam Runner. Now you can ask me which colorway, and I'm gonna tell you pick a color. It doesn't matter which color it is. That shoe in itself is trash. That is the worst looking shoe I've ever seen in my life. And honestly, it's almost like Nike. I mean, Nike. It's almost like Kanye is just kind of like betting amongst his friends. Like, yo, I could put out the ugliest thing out there and they'll still buy it. That's what it feels like. It feels like it's an inside joke with Kanye. Like, he's just trying to figure out what he can sell y'all that y'all won't go to. Like, seriously. Like, it's almost, it's sad almost. Like, he can literally sell y'all these shoes and y'all go buy them like they're the dopest thing you've ever seen. Y'all look ridiculous. I've seen them in person. I've seen these shoes in the wild on people's feet, and I am like, what? I'm amazed. I'm amazed because I know for a fact if that was from anybody else, if that was from anything else, we used to clown people wearing Crocs. What? And I don't see nearly as many people wearing Crocs as I do seeing these Yeezy runners or foam runners, whatever. Like man, I there's nothing you can tell me. That is 100% hype. That is 100% name selling product. That is 100% of that. There is no way you can convince me otherwise. Like, I just refuse to. I refuse to buy into that. Like, you can make an argument for other shoes that even though I might not agree, I can at least be like, okay, I can see people liking this, right? Even though I don't like it, I can see other people. But there is such thing as trash. There is such thing as garbage. Like, everybody wants to do this whole eye of the beholder bullshit for everything, which is theoretically true. But there is a category called trash. There's a category called garbage, and there's some things that we just universally know, right? We universally know that the sun is bright. We universally know that water is wet. And outside of Kanye fans, we universally know that these shoes are garbage. like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, and here's the thing about fans, like, and I understand it, right? As a fan, you want to support your favorite whoever. But you could be objective. You can still be a fan and remain objective, right? You ain't got to co-sign everything. Like me, huge Michael Jackson fan. I'll be the first to tell you that, not every song was a banger. Not every album was worth buying. Doesn't make me any less of a fan, right? It's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to hold people accountable. It's okay to hold things to a standard. It's okay. You're not saying they're less than. You know, Michael Jordan had bad games. LeBron James has had bad games. Does not take away from their greatness at all. It's okay to say they had a bad game. Kevin Durant is currently having probably one of the worst playoffs in the history of his career. Okay. Is he still a great player? Yes. You know what I'm saying? If Kevin Durant was a free agent right now, would everybody want him on their team? Yes. So yeah, so it's okay. It's okay to be objective. It does not make you any less of a fan. Chris L just changed the name to Ugly Yeezy of the Week. Honestly, I've been tempted. But there have been shoes. There have been shoes. Like the J Balvin ones. Like I don't care what Yeezy came out that day. That was worse than any Yeezy. Only because, excuse me, only because, like I said, you know how much effort it takes to make an ugly Jordan 1? Like, that's almost a skill. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's almost scary. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about if they took that effort and applied it to something productive. Like, they probably could cure cancer. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just that bad. It's like, yo, like that's out of this world effort. Um, Seriously, the only shoes I thought Ye put out that was dope were the 750s and the early 350s. And I hear that. I hear that a lot from some people. And while I might not be a fan, it ain't the ugly. Okay, so here's the thing about at least with the 350s, they're not the ugliest shoes I've ever seen. It's just the level of hype that people attribute to them. That's what makes them ugly. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. It's like, okay, they're basic looking shoes. Okay, I'm indifferent to it on a normal day. I'm indifferent to it. They look like some moccasins or whatever. Okay, fine. Like they're not the best thing I've ever seen. They're not the worst thing I've ever seen. But then when you see people go crazy over them, like they're the greatest thing ever, then it's like, okay, now I feel like I gotta be some type of counterbalance to the hype. You know what I'm saying? I gotta bring people back down to earth. You know what I'm saying? I gotta be that albatross, not albatross, but I gotta be that anchor to keep you from going adrift. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, okay, let's really think about this for a second. Um, Let me see. Sneaker Shop Talk. Tell that to the Shannon Sharps of the world. See, this is why I don't watch. This is why I stopped watching sports talk, at least on Fox Sports and ESPN, because it's not about legitimate sports talk. It's a battle of personalities, and it just comes down to who can have the worst hot take, who can have the most viral hot take, no matter how ridiculous it is, no matter how dumb it is. It's just about having a hot take, and then finding circumstantial evidence out of context to support that hot take. Nick Wright is one of those people. Skip Bayless is another person. Like they are two ends of a spectrum. It's the two extreme opposite ends of a spectrum, right? You can either be super bright or super dark. They're on the opposite ends. Nick Wright is ridiculous with his takes, and Skip Bayless is equally ridiculous with his takes. I don't want to watch them. Imagine Nick Wright and Skip Bayless had a show together. Oh my God. And I probably shouldn't have said that out loud because God forbid somebody from Fox Sports is listening and like, oh my God, what a brilliant idea. The ultimate LeBron lover versus the ultimate LeBron hater. Ugh. We're probably having one of the most, as a casual basketball fan, probably having one of the most interesting playoff runs across the board, right? Because even the series that are like 3-1, right, are still, the games are still close. It ain't been complete blowouts, right? And then you have a lot of series that are tied up 2-2. But if we had a show with Nick Wright and Skip Bayless, every show would still have LeBron James, even though he's not in the playoffs. If you're not in the playoffs, I'm not talking about you. We're not talking about the Sacramento Kings. Why? Because they're not in the playoffs. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like, let's talk about the teams that are currently playing right now. And people always say, well, people don't want that. Well, if you keep sitting at the table with this meal, then people feel forced to eat that meal. But if you offer them something different, you know, they might choose something else. You don't have to talk about LeBron James every day. At some point, he's going to retire. You're going to have to talk about something else anyway. So you might as well get used to it because we're probably getting close to that point anyway. Anyway, um, let's see. I watch As said that they'll take KD in Chicago any day. Yeah, anybody would take him. Um, Chris L, did you ever watch Game Theory with Bomani Jones? No. I like Bomani. I haven't seen the show yet, so I don't know if I can critique it or not. But from some of the reviews I've seen, it ain't been real good. And that's the thing with entertainment, man. Like, it's hard. It is very, very hard because you're fighting for eyeballs, you're fighting for ears, and so you got to be unique and interesting enough. And some people are interesting and unique, just not in comparison to other things. Or some people are great when they're in unison with other people, but not by themselves. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know where he falls in that. Like I said, I haven't seen the show, so I can't really say. But um, I don't know if his show is going to stand out enough to be successful. At least because now you got to be like instantly hot, right? Like people, there was a time when networks or companies in general would give you some time to grow and develop into success. But now we expect success out the gate. And if it doesn't happen in that first week, they cancel you. They shut your shit down. So, hopefully they give him a chance to grow and thrive. Because I like Bomani. He's a very intelligent person, very articulate, and he just has a perspective that I think is so needed in that arena, of sports talk. So, yeah. Um, Yeah, so that's just how I feel about him. Let's see. I watch ads. They actually have personnel that goes out looking for the dirtiest dirt just to be the first to report it and give their hit take first. Yeah, I just that's why I appreciate JJ Redick on ESPN because at least he offers some intelligent dialogue. Right now, I might not always agree with him, like with the whole Bob Cousy thing, but um, overall, I think he has a very intelligent take on things. And this is why the Stephen A. Smiths and I don't know who's the new guy on the show, Mad Dog something, this is why they struggle against them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're so used to just yelling hot takes at each other that they don't really think about the dumb shit they say. And so then when somebody actually uh, holds their feet to the logical fire, they fall apart because there is no logic to what they say. It's just this is how I feel, and here's some evidence or facts that I cherry picked out of context to support that. And it's just like, okay, well, all right, that's not how logic works. Logic follows it follows a line of facts and evidence, or at least not to use the word in its own definition, but logic follows a logical path, right? Like it remains consistent. Um, that's why I like the TNT crew because all three players, even Ernie, don't care if what they say hurts anyone's feelings. They keep see, you're only gonna get that from people who aren't looking to have hot takes. Like Chuck has hot takes because that's just who he is. He's not trying to have hot takes. And the beauty about Chuck, especially Chuck and Shaq and Ernie and Kenny, is that they're older, and once you get to a certain age, you just don't care what nobody thinks no more. Like you live through enough shit to where you feel emboldened. Like, look, I lived through the Depression, two world wars. I'll be damned about what this 17-year-old thinks about what I think. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're 80 years old and you lived through all that, you don't care what I think. And I'm in my 30s. You don't care what, some 20-year-old thinks. You ain't lived long enough. You ain't seen the stuff I've seen. You ain't experienced the things I've experienced. So you don't have a reference point. You don't have a frame of reference in which to object to what I said. So that's why they don't care. Like these young players now can get offended and get mad all they want to. They've had the careers. They've been successful. They know what it takes. They know what it's like. So, I mean, there's nothing you can tell them that's going to, people are like, oh, they got social media now. So what? They still had newspapers. They still had reporters back in the 90s and 80s. They still had tabloids. Like, you know what I'm saying? Social media is just another form of that. Like, it wasn't like, they played these games in secret locations that nobody knew about, and these players went their whole careers being anonymous. Like, they were high-profile players who were always in the papers, especially Charles Barkley. This so man. Now imagine this, I just want people to know, like, I'm doing this show solo dolo, so imagine me with a co-host. Imagine me with a guru. This is gonna be crazy. And we're already an hour and a half in, and I ain't even got through half the stuff I wanted to talk about. So, yeah, so I most definitely will probably be able to do 3 hours a day, like easy. But yeah, so, and that's the thing about the radio show too, concept is it allows us to kind of free flow. Like, obviously we're going to have some structure to it. This is, like I said, this is the test beta run on it just to see what that will look and sound like, what that would feel like. And so I'm feeling good. And, you guys let me know how we doing so far. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Because, I like this conversation because even with the podcast, it's kind of like, there are times I just kind of felt like we were overly produced. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to stick to a time constraint. We got to stick to the segment. We got to stick to, and I kind of like radio, where you can start off with a topic and then kind of navigate to other things and elaborate on it. Like I said, y'all let me know in the comments how y'all feel about it. With that being said, and I will say this real quick before I dive into some sneaker talk. As far as sports are concerned, like, this might be the first time in a long time where I really don't have a dog in the fight. Like, I don't have a team that I'm rooting for. Like, I don't have a team that I'm rooting against either. And it's something about that makes it more enjoyable. I don't know. It's something about not having a team that you're, like, riding on to just sit back and watch and just enjoy the game for what it is, right? Now, I will say this real quick, and I swear I'm going to move on to some sneaker stuff. The thing that I will say about basketball in particular is, I don't know, it just feels more one-dimensional than it ever has. Like, it is just dunk and three-point shots. Like, I've never seen so many bad three-point shots just being chucked up. Like, early in the shot clock, like as soon as they cross half court, somebody's throwing up a three. There's been stretches of games where, like, both teams will go like 4 or 5 minutes without scoring because they can't hit the three-point shot. And I'm sitting there like, there's other ways to score besides a three-pointer. You can shoot a mid-range shot. If we still had things like power forwards and centers, you could throw it to them on the post and get what we used to call a high percentage shot. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it might not be two is not as much as three, but it still counts for something, right? If you're down 10, if you go 4 or 5 minute stretches where you're getting 2-pointers here, 2-pointers there, you can eat away at that lead. Or if you're trying to build a lead, you can build it 2 points at a time. But you're trying to, like, even in baseball, right? There's singles, there's getting on base. Not everything has to be a home run. And it seems like three-pointers have become like the new home run. It's just like, we got to just hit home runs all the time instead of getting these singles, instead of getting on base. You know what I'm saying? It's man. It is like, wow. Like, it's just how one-dimensional the game has gotten. 3-point shots and dunks. It's just a 3-point shot, like 48-minute 3-point shooting contest. And what was the tip of the iceberg for me was watching the Sixers and Raptors game. I forgot which game it was. I want to say it was game 3. Here it is. It's a tie game. Seconds left. Philly has the ball. Joel Embiid is probably arguably the best big man in the game, right? Dude is at the 3-point line. Doc Rivers allegedly is one of the best coaches in the game. Didn't make a play to get this dude on the post. One of 3 things are going to happen if he decides to get the ball on the post. 1, he's going to score. 2, he's going to get fouled, hit the free throws. Once again, it's seconds left in the game. It's a tie game. Next points win the game. Or 3, they're going to collapse and double him, and he's going to find an open shooter because he is a good passer. You eliminate all of that. His advantage is he's a big man who is skilled in the post. You take away that advantage by having him at the three-point line. What happens? He throws up a 3. They go to overtime. And then the same scenario basically happens at the end of that overtime where, once again, instead of getting on the post, instead of drawing up a play in the post, he's at the three-point line again. Now, luckily, Doc Rivers had enough sense to call timeout before they, ran out of the shot clock. And then from that, he did make the 3. So that eliminates any scrutiny they probably would have, because they could have easily lost that game. Right? But he made the 3, and that's the thing about shots, right? If they go in, they're great shots. If they miss, they're bad shots. If they go in, nobody questions what happened the rest of the game. You won. Doesn't matter. And I'm telling you, I almost lost my mind watching that game. It's just like, it was infuriating to watch. But that's basketball now. That's basketball now, where everybody's at the three-point line. Everybody, even the big man. Why are you that far away from the basket? Your advantage is you're a big man. That's your advantage. Now you got guards out rebounding centers because the center's at the three-point line and the guards are the one crashing the rebounds. It's ridiculous. There's no different in styles anymore. Every team plays the same. It's just pick and roll and nauseum and jacking on threes. That's what it is. That's what it is. Or hero ball is just give the ball to our star, have everybody just kind of stand there and just let him just kind of create something on the fly, which is pretty much what the Nets are doing. which is why it is fun watching the Celtics just dismantle them, because they actually play team ball. I watch ads. I played against Zach Randolph in high school at AAU ball, and being a big man was being inside with the footwork and post moves. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. But anyway, that's my little rant on sports, though. Like, I don't really want to, because that can be a rabbit hole in itself. There was a couple things I wanted to talk about that was kind of newsworthy. I don't know if people heard this, and we used to have this segment, and that's something else, I'm going to rebrand it. We had this segment on a podcast called This Week in Stupid. And This Week in Stupid, we got the, I don't know if you guys heard about it, but it was the store owner who opened fire on shoplifters and accidentally shot a 9-year-old. Just, that whole story is just reckless. Reckless is that's the word I think of. Reckless, right? So in an article written on CBSNews.com, authorities arrested the owner of a shoe store for opening fire on shoplifters at a Victorville mall and shooting an innocent 9-year-old girl. The shooting was reported at the mall of Victor Valley and prompted several stores to go on lockdown as deputies searched the mall for the gunman. According to San Bernardino County Sheriff's officials, 20-year-old Markel Cockrell, the co-owner of a shoe store called Soul Addicts. Has anybody in that area been to Soul Addicts? What's that store like? I wonder if they got reviews. We had this thing called Google Store, 1-star sneaker store reviews, so I might bring that back. I'm making the Soul Addicts edition. Maybe I might do that tomorrow. But anyway, he was identified as the shooter. Investigators say that Markel had chased 2 shoplifters out of the store and fired multiple shots at them. Now, anybody that owns a gun knows where he went wrong. Just in that sentence, like, first of all, they were shoplifters, right? So unless they pulled a gun out on you, you don't really have the right to pull a gun out on them. Secondly, they were fleeing. They were out of your store and fleeing. That does not give you the right to still open fire. Your life was no longer in jeopardy. You could probably make the argument that you felt like your life was in jeopardy when they first pulled up in the store and started stealing, depending on how that went down. But once they left the store and were fleeing in the opposite direction, your life was no longer in jeopardy. So therefore, you don't have the right to basically pull out your gun and start shooting. That's not how this works. The shots missed the shoplifters and instead hit a little girl who was taking pictures with the Easter Bunny. Bruh. The girl and her family hid in the store immediately after the shooting. An employee who was with them says she was remarkably calm. Man, they made this 9-year-old sound more gangster than Markel. Like she got shot and man, sound like Tupac. 5 shots couldn't drop me. I took it and smiled. Uh, anyway, Markel fled the scene. So this 9-year-old got shot and was like, "Yeah, I got it. I'm cool. Just take me to the hospital." Markel was like, "Oh shit," and dipped. You know what I'm saying? Like if I told you what happened in the aftermath, you would assume that Markel was the one that got shot, right? Or was the shooter, which in this case he was. So Markel fled the scene, but was found later that night by Nevada Highway Patrol and was taken into custody. Markel is being held at Clark County Jail on an extraditable warrant. Extraditable. Wait, what are they taking him to? Victorville. I'm guessing Victorville is not Nevada. That makes you even look more guilty, dude. Because okay, one, and that lets me know that he knew he fucked up immediately, right? Because anybody that felt like they were legit in what they did, they would state as a responsible gun owner. You're gonna sit there and that's what you do. You shoot, and then you call the police, and then you wait for the police. You give them a statement, and then they take it from there, right? So the fact that he fled the scene lets me know that he knew immediately he was done. And then I don't know if he fled to another state, but they said extraditable, so that makes me think that he fled to another state. So that makes you look extra guilty because now you're fleeing. Now you didn't just go home; you went to another state, my G, for attempted murder. Now I don't know if attempted murder, maybe, man. I don't know, man. They got so many different laws that mean different things. Um, I don't know if attempted murder because murder implies intent, and I don't think he intended to murder. Well, it depends on what they're trying to say. Who he was attempting to kill. Like they could be arguing that he was attempting to kill the robbers or the shoplifters. He he put himself in a bind right here. Like that was just reckless. It was stupid. You know. First of all, okay, let me read the story. Then we're gonna go into the particulars. Bail is set at $1 million. The little girl was airlifted to Loma Linda University Medical Center, where she was in stable condition. The mall later reopened, with the exception of shoe addicts. In fact, this is the third shooting to occur at the mall in just the last 6 months. All right, one, if you are a store owner, right? If you had insurance, you probably wouldn't be shooting at nobody. This tells me that this was a store that they kind of, yeah, it was a business, but wasn't run like one, right? Which means that he couldn't afford to lose any product to the point where he pulls out a gun and tries to kill the people that were still in the shoe. If you had insurance, you'd be like, I mean, yeah, you would, if the, depending on the situation, if it's hand-to-hand combat, yeah, you might try to tackle one of them to keep them from leaving. But you're not about to get killed over that person. And you're for sure not about to kill nobody over it. You're like, all right, whatever. They got away. I got insurance, whatever. Yeah, you might not be happy with the fact that you got to go through this whole processing thing with the insurance company, and your premium might go up, all that other stuff. However, it ain't life or death. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I'm kind of getting lost in this. And then you shot a 9-year-old girl, man. This is why you don't just shoot wildly at people, because chances are you're gonna hit everybody but the people you were trying to hit. You were at a mall. You were at a mall, man. So that means there's other people there shopping in other stores. So probably, people like me who are just, I'm about to get my Mrs. Fields and dip, or I'm about to get my Cinnabon and dip. You know what I'm saying? Like she was here to see the Easter Bunny and got shot because your dumbass out here with a gun. How you got that's another thing too. Did he have a license? I don't know what the rules are and wherever he lives. Every state got their own laws. But are you licensed to carry that gun? I don't know if it's an open carry or whatnot. You obviously didn't take no classes because you shot everybody but the people you were trying to hit. And dude, man, it's just bad. It's just bad. It's just bad. And it's an extraditable warrant. They got him for $1 million, which means something tells me this dude has a record. They ain't say it. I'm just assuming. But something tells me you have a record. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it seems like there's a whole can of worms that are gonna just be open just based off of this thing, man. It ain't that deep, and it's just dumb. It's just dumb. So anybody that has the idea that they're gonna start a shoe business, they're gonna open a consignment shop or a resale shop, do yourself a favor. Get insurance that protects you. I know it sucks. Nobody wants to pay insurance. I don't want to pay car insurance, but guess what? If I get into a car accident, I'm relieved because I know at least my car is going to get fixed and I at least got a rental to get me back and forth to where I need to go until the car gets fixed. Like, man, like, come on, man. We so quick to shoot too. It's just, man, some things ain't worth it, man. Well, whatever, man. I don't know, man. I just hope I'm glad the little girl because said that she was in get down. Uh, said that she was in stable condition, so I'm glad, But it could have. That's the thing. It could have been a lot worse. I think she just got shot in the arm. But imagine if she got shot somewhere fatal. This would be a whole different story. Some little girl would have got killed over what? Some shoes? Some shoes. It ain't worth it. It ain't that deep. Um, I don't know who. I don't know who thinks it is, other than Markel. Um, yeah. So I just, man, yeah. I saw this story when it first happened about a week or two ago, and I was just like, this dude was an idiot. Like I ain't even know the story. As soon as I saw the headline, like I try not to just read the headline and assume what the story's about, but this was pretty much cut and dry. Like it didn't require too much knowledge on the subject to know that a 9-year-old shouldn't get shot. Uh, Sneaker Shop Talk says he just did a story about a shop owner that got robbed, didn't have insurance, and basically begging the robber to bring the shoes back. I think we read that. About a few weeks ago. It was, yeah. He tried to, yeah. Like, first of all, what thief is going to say, hey, you know what, man, he made a good point. Let's take his stuff back. Like, that defeats the purpose of being a thief. They don't care about they don't care about your pleas. They don't care about what. Look, man. This isn't. I could see if it was a situation where, like, let's just say you robbed a random person, and then later in the news you find out it was a single mother who has a child with disabilities, and that was the last she had. Everybody has a mother. Maybe in a rare occurrence, somebody has enough heart to say, they feel bad about what they did, and they might anonymously give back what they stole. But ain't nobody about to feel moved over a store owner that sells shoes. Ain't nobody moved over that. Especially if if it was a resale shop and you was overcharging, I'm for sure. If I robbed you, I'm not feeling bad. Matter of fact, Sticker Shop Talk, is that the one where they cut holes into the roof? I believe they cut holes into the roof to break into this store, the sneaker store. As a matter of fact, they had to cut 3 holes because I guess the first 2. So I guess it was I don't know if it's a strip mall, but I guess the first 2 holes didn't get into the store like they thought it would. And so it required them cutting the 3rd hole. And I want people to know, too, how much work that took. Because working construction, I can tell you, it ain't as easy as you think it is. It ain't like a sheet of paper on the roof. That there's a lot of material you got to cut through to break into a roof. And you got to jump down. Yeah, like it takes a lot of work. And first of all, they even set that type of thing up. You got to have power tools, which means they got to plug in somewhere. Like the amount of, I don't want to say ingenuity, but for the lack of a better word, because I feel like when I say the word ingenuity, I'm giving them too much credit. But for the lack of a better word, the amount of ingenuity it took, at least the amount of planning it took to cut holes into the roof, that's a lot of effort. That's more effort Nike. That's more effort than Nike's been giving us in the Black History Month collection. Like that's they put more effort into breaking into the store than Nike ever did in the Black History Month collection. But point is, uh, yeah, they cut holes. Yep, that's the one. Yeah, so they cut holes into the roof. That's how bad they wanted to get into the store. I'm almost interested. I want to see the review. I would Sneaker Shop Talk. You know the name of that store? I want to look at the reviews for that store too. That's one of the, like what type of, I mean, what they have, like nothing but wall to wall mags in there? Like what like what they have Yeezy twos in there? Like, and I think they only stole I think they only stole like the left shoe. Like I don't even think they stole actual pairs. I want to say they stole like just the left shoe of every pair, which makes it even dumber. That's wild. But because I think I don't know if Dunks or Guru was saying that people steal, like they'll go to like a retail store and steal like the left shoe and then go to another store and steal the right shoe. That makes sense because obviously if you're a retail store, you're selling the same product generally speaking. So that makes sense. But when you're talking about like a resale shop, like what other resale shop are you gonna find? You know what I'm saying? Like find that same shoe in that same size. A lot of resale shops are selling on a consignment basis, so it's not guaranteed. Even if they have the same shoe, it's not a guarantee it's in the same size. So, um, yeah. Sneaker Shop Talk. If you know the name of the store, uh, the name of the store is Lux Mia. Lux Mia. Okay. Lux Mia. Okay, I'm gonna look that up. Appreciate you. And here's the thing too. I know this was like last minute. This whole radio show um, concept and idea. Um, but like I said, it's a test thing, and I don't know. Honestly, I can't even. I don't even looking at the live chat. It doesn't really tell me how many people are in here. I know people are in here because people are responding to uh, the show as I'm doing it. But hopefully, as we do this and we become consistent at it, it grows. Like I said, we want this to become a part of people's daily routines and a part of people's day. And so if we can do 9 to 11, 9 to noon, I think we good. I think we got something going. Um, Also too, because I already know I had pitched the concept of doing a radio show to Foot Locker. I know I pitched it to uh, eBay, and so you know, and I know eBay is just in love with Complex. They are just yeah, they pretty much bending over and biting the pillow for them. So uh, it was one of those things where I wanted to get ahead of it before they could potentially give the idea to them. Because that's usually what happens with Complex. They usually, hey, that looks like a good idea. Let's do it ourselves and act like we came up with it. That's usually that's usually their MO. So I'm like, before they try to state their claim on that, like let's go ahead and because I've been working on this idea for like a year now, probably longer than that, probably since 2020 or 2019 actually. So yeah, but it was just we wanted to have the means to do it the right way because I would love to have visuals. I would love to have um, all that other stuff, but that requires putting a team and so me doing a show today solo dolo, it was going to be strictly audio because I didn't want to give myself too much to have to do to where it became a distraction and the show would suffer from that. Right, I wanted to be able to kind of talk and engage with you guys and go through what I wanted to talk about um, without, like I said, being distracted too much and having too much to do, having too many hats to wear, trying to do too much. I think Dunks is supposed to be here tomorrow. Um, yeah, so no, I watch ads and let everybody know too. Like we're gonna do this 5 days a week, 9 to at least 9 to 11 at the least. Now it could be 9 to 12, but at least 9 to 11 every day, 5 days a week. If there's a day that we know, because stuff happens. If there's a day that I know we're not gonna do a show, we're still gonna put like a best of like previous podcast episodes up so that you guys still have something to get through the day. But yeah, this is definitely something I wanted to do for a while now, and so it just got to the point where it's just like, yo, let's just do it. You know what I'm saying? Like this, let's just do it. Just like we took Nike's motto and we just did it. So here I am, and so hopefully, like I said, I have Dunks with me here tomorrow, I believe, and hopefully this builds and grows and people enjoy it. I don't know if anybody heard about this too. So New Balance, they had a lawsuit, and actually, they didn't necessarily win or lose, but the lawsuit was enough to scare this other company into rebranding themselves. An article written by Stephen Gardner for Footwear News. Balance Athletica, a Denver-based athleisure brand, has officially changed its name following a trademark infringement lawsuit filed by New Balance. In the lawsuit, New Balance alleged that Balance Athletica was using a confusingly similar mark to sell the same goods to the same consumers using the same marketing channels. New Balance alleges that actual confusion in the marketplace had already occurred, citing a screenshot from a recent item being sold on Poshmark. New Balance went on to claim that the Balance Athletica's use of these confusingly similar marks were a part of a larger plan to deliberately free ride on New Balance's famous brand. New Balance also showed that Balance Athletica filed an intent to use trademark application with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office for the mark Achieve Balance for footwear and apparel. New Balance said that they've been using the mark Achieve in their advertisements at points of purchase and on their products since the late 1990s. Ultimately, Balance Athletica said that they were changing the name to, let me know how y'all feel about this new name change. They're changing the name to Vitality. Like, I mean, not that I was blown away by Balance Athletica, but for some reason it does feel like a step down. Like, it doesn't feel like a step up. It doesn't even feel like a lateral move. It literally feels like a step down. Like, what's a worse name? You know? That's what it feels like. Anyway, they changed the name to Vitality while not acknowledging the New Balance lawsuit in their rebranding announcement. Of course they wouldn't. Of course they wouldn't. It's all about spin and PR, right? Like, so we all know what the catalyst was, even though they don't have to say it. In a statement, Vitality says that since 2018, they've grown into a company of 50 plus employees. And I went back. Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on. According to Vitality, the name change represents the opportunity to elevate and evolve. Okay, really? It just so happened that you wanted to elevate and evolve. You got served that cease and desist letter. That's when that whole elevate and evolve mantra developed within the workplace there at the brand Athletica. Anyway, they claim that they're the fastest growing business in the athleisure industry. In the statement, they say that since 2018, they've grown into a company of 50 plus employees and has expanded into a 35,000 square foot HQ and distribution center in Denver. I mean, that's good. I don't knock any company for growing. But let's keep it real. Like, the opportunity to elevate and evolve. Okay. When exactly did you decide to elevate and evolve? Was that before or after the New Balance lawsuit? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep it real. And also too, the name Vitality. I don't know why. It makes me think of Mortal Kombat. It just does. It's just, yeah. Vitality. Let me see. What were we saying on the chats? Who wore the Heat the best this week segment? Might try that. Yeah. Also, in lawsuit news, Nike actually got a rare L. So, I don't know if this, for all the people that haven't had a W on the sneakers app in years, maybe this would give you some, some consolation to know that Nike doesn't always win either. Excuse me. In an article written on SBG or SGBonline.com, Judge Michael M. Bailson has ordered Nike to pay 4.62 million to cover attorney's fees and $369,263 in expenses that Lontex Corp incurred in litigating an infringement case over the Cool Compression trademark. A jury awarded $507,000 in damages for Nike's contributory infringement of Lontex's Cool Compression trademark on athletic wear. Judge Belson later increased that amount to 791,000. So, yeah, basically, Lontex made some apparel that I guess they use cool compression as a means to describe their apparel or however what. And Nike, I guess, did the same thing. You know, very rarely does Nike get the W. I mean, get the L. At least in this country. Overseas is a different story. Like, Lord knows how long it took Jordan Brand to win that case against Kadan. But, yeah, this one is pretty much open and shut. I know they got another case, too. There's a young man. Let me find it on Instagram. There's a young man who had a case against Nike for let me see if I can find it. For whatever reason, my Instagram is acting pretty slow. Let me see if I find it. Yeah, I can't find it. Maybe I'll bring it up tomorrow. But anyway, he had created a marketing campaign, and he had pitched it to Nike. And it looks like from the messages he sent me, we corresponded back and forth, and he sent me some evidence to back up his claims. It seemed like he had pitched them on similar how I pitched the Black History Month collection. He pitched them a campaign. It said it looked like balling, but the way the at first glance it looked like balling, but the way that the letters were colored, it broke the word up into be all in. B like the letter B, and then all ALL, and then NIN. And so at some point Nike decided to use that type of marketing to promote, I don't know if it was the March Madness or what. And so he saw that and reached out to them to try to, say, hey, like, yo, what the hell? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and all of us, of course, you know what happens, right? Like, all of a sudden correspondence ceases. Everybody forgets your number and nobody responds to your text messages or your calls, all that good stuff. So he filed a lawsuit, and I guess we'll just keep an eye on that to see how that turns out. And that kind of gives me hope that, if Nike does come out with a Motown collection, that, maybe, just maybe, I have a basis for my lawsuit, if and when that happens. Let me see if I can find that thing. My Instagram is acting hella stupid right now. I wish I could remember his name. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. Okay, here it is. So he goes by Adobe Bryant on Instagram. And let me see. So yeah, it says Nike is accused of stealing. Here's the story right here. Okay, a graphic designer whose clients include Target and Microsoft has lodged a trademark infringement suit against Nike in Texas federal court, contending that Nike stole his campaign concept for the most recent March Madness basketball tournament. So I was right on that. Digital creator Landon T. Jones, who also goes by Adobe Bryant, said in his complaint that Nike poached his campaign idea, which depicts the words ballin' in a two-tone color scheme, after he submitted a pitch to the company in April 2020 for the sports event held by the NCAA. And I remember he reached out to me and he showed me that, and he actually showed me some of the correspondence. And one of the things he told me was that, and anybody that knows this, when you send stuff through like Google, what the hell is that shit called? Google something. Watch when I see them mad as hell. Google Drive, and you link people's emails, it lets you know if they looked at it. And so that's how he was able to know that they saw it, right? Because they're denying that they even saw it, but he knows for a fact. And I don't know if he can prove it. I don't know if he has the alert still or the notification, but yeah, like if you tag people or if you link them into, like if you upload something to Google Drive and then you want to share it with people, it lets you know if they saw it or not. Um, Anyway, according to the filing, Nike allegedly never reached out to Jones after reviewing his pitch several times on file sharing platform Dropbox. Okay, it was through Dropbox, but it's the same thing where if you share that file, it lets you know if that person or persons looked at it. And then debuted the T-shirts with the graphic in February that college athletes wore throughout the tournament the following month. Um, so Landon Adobe Bryant said that although Nike has alleged their Ballin' March Madness T-shirt was created coincidentally, I love when they say coincidentally, without any reference to Jones's Ballin' Mark and Ballin' T-shirt design, the striking similarities between the two are undeniable. Like, come on, man. Like, here's the thing about Nike, right? And I'll defend them when they're right, and I'll get on them when they're wrong. They 100% wrong in this. Coincidentally, you came up with ballin' or be all in the same time he came up with it. Like of all the brilliant minds at Nike, right, that have been there for years, think how long Nike has been around, right? Literally since what, the 70s? But let's just say when they became big in like the mid 80s, early 90s, right? You've been around that long and you didn't come up with a concept campaign like that until he came up with it, coincidentally. Come on, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Like, that's too much of a coincidence. You've been around for how many years, and at no point did you ever come up with a campaign like that until he came up with one. And it just so happened he sent it to you, and then not too long after that is when you guys came up with yours. But it was just coincidence, though, right? Because you would have came up with that concept yourself on your own. Come on, man. Let's see. This is why I'm as cynical as I am. In addition, Landon argued that he has established exclusive ownership of the unregistered trademark, which uses two contrasting colors to denote the meaning to be all in through public commercial use, including licensing the mark to third parties prior to Nike's campaign. Now, see, that was going to be my thing. I guess that was my question to him was, since this wasn't trademarked, how is it protected, right? And I guess that's how. I guess, him licensing the design to other people prior to Nike, I guess, does that. Landon said that Nike has wrongfully distributed, sold, and licenses. Okay. Uh, Nike, BSN, and Dick's Sporting Goods are currently manufacturing, distributing, and selling T-shirts and apparel that infringe on Landon's intellectual property and have caused actual confusion, or at least a likelihood of confusion in the marketplace. Let me see. Paimal Patel, I hope I'm saying that right. Paimal Patel, an attorney at Patel Anderson LLP, who is representing Landon, said that he is confident that Landon is entitled to the credit he deserves. Um, of course, Nike and Dick's Sporting Goods and BSN did not immediately respond to any requests for comment. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm gonna keep my eye on that one. Um, that's gonna be an interesting case for sure. Seeing how that thing goes down, but yeah, I mean, it seems like in this day and age, it just seems like everybody's suing everybody. it just seems like everybody, once again, new ideas. Like it just seems like everybody just trying to copy each other, or at least create their own version of what already exists instead of creating something new. Um, and I guess that even goes for a company like Nike, right? So, you know, they basically Cool Kai his idea. And they ain't even Cool Kai his idea. At least Kai at least changed the logo. They ain't even do that. They straight up ripped it off. Like if Nike was Cool Kai, they would just recreate Jordan ones with the swoosh. Right? Like they wouldn't bother changing a thing. Like, yo, it's the exact thing. It's an exact replica. Right? And so yeah, that's something. But I will say, just to kind of give people a heads up to what to tune in for later this week. Like I said, want to repackage and reformat some of the content we have for the podcast. Like I mentioned, the 1-star sneaker store reviews. That's something we want to bring back. Lady sneakerheads of the week. We probably could do lady sneakerhead of the day now that we're doing 5 days a week. This week in stupid. Um, Diary of a shoe salesman for people that work in retail. Oftentimes when we talk about sneakers, we talk about the brands and we talk about ourselves as the consumer or as the customer. But there's a middleman in that, and that's the people that work at the retail stores. So we have this segment called Diary of a Shoe Salesman, where people that work in retail can kind of tell us their stories. It could be anything. It could be a bad customer story, or something crazy that happened at the store. With the manager did something wild, like Foot Locker had the guy that was beating off in the shoes. That was wild. So yeah, just as somebody who works in retail, just kind of give us your stories, and we'll keep it anonymous. We don't want to get you in trouble, right? So we just want to read your stories on air. We got a whole bunch of segments that we had on the show that we want to repackage and redo for the purposes of the show, and bring that back. Obviously, we're going to have daily release dates for shoes that come out that day. We're going to keep you informed on that, and we're going to let you know where to get them so that, you don't have to, it's not enough just to tell you what's coming out. We got to tell you where, right? And then, news and other things like that. And obviously, different things that come up we're going to talk about. We're going to try to respond to all the comments in the chats. And then ultimately, we do want to have a phone line. And we want to be able to talk to you guys and have you guys call in, sneaker comments and questions, any topic you want to bounce off our heads, things like that. And so I'm looking forward to it, man. Like this was 2 hours and 10 minutes. There's probably some other things I could have got into, but I kind of want to wait. Dunks is supposed to be here tomorrow, so kind of want to have that co-host to kind of bounce the conversation off of. But this was fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I watch ads like, what about Ami and the Hellcat using the Jordan 1 silhouette but with the lightning bolt? You know what, real quick, that's hilarious to me. Watching Omni and Kai go back and forth is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. It is, because they both look ridiculous. It's almost like watching two chicks fight over a dude that cheated on them. Like, nobody really wins in this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you can't even claim ownership because he's cheating on both of y'all. You know what I'm saying? His actions say that he doesn't want to be with either of you, exclusively at least. And so, yeah, it's just like neither one of y'all own this silhouette, but here you guys are both arguing over who stole from who. Y'all both stole. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I can't get enough of it. And I feel like the Michael Jackson meme when he's like in Thriller eating popcorn. Like, I'm just watching this whole thing play out. It's hilarious to me. Excuse me. But some of the stuff that we're going to get into later this week, one, I want to get into the topic of gatekeeping. I really want to get into the topic of gatekeeping because to me, I feel like it's long overdue. I feel like a lot of times we have these conversations where we just throw around buzzwords and we try to fit arguments into like 2 sentences, right? We turn quips into arguments, and that's not really arguments. Arguments are detailed. You know what I'm saying? Like often, okay, so I get accused of, writing books sometimes. Like you'll be on Facebook and somebody make a post, and so, you know, I try to respond and I try to give context within that response. And sometimes that requires using more than 4 sentences. And people see a paragraph and it's like, I'm not reading all that. And for whatever reason, that seems like to be, and you can tell in their mind they that was a funny remark, or it's like, oh, I got you, or I just ended you. And I'm like, you not wanting to read is not a knock on me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, like, when in the history of ever has I don't want to read been a knock on the person pointing out that you don't want to read? Like, you know, like it's just anyway. And so the point is, we have these arguments that are so surface level that nobody ever dives beneath that, because it's about hot takes and quips as opposed to actual dialogue and swapping of ideas. So I definitely want to get into the whole thing of gatekeeping, and I see it from both sides. Just to kind of give you an idea of what that conversation is going to look like, I see it from both sides. I see it as, okay, I understand why people get annoyed with gatekeeping, but I also see why it's necessary. Two, and I think this kind of ties into it, and maybe we might talk about it in the same show, or I might break it up into one, we'll talk about one thing on the next show and then one thing on the other show. Race in sneakers and the impact on that. And I know some people, the thing about race is it's a hard and tough conversation to have, because once you bring up the topic of race, people don't want to deal with it. And usually people that would rather tune it out and not deal with it are the people that don't have to deal with it, if you get what I'm saying. Where it's not a issue to them because it's not an issue that they have to navigate around or over, right? Like, as a man, I don't have to deal with sexism, so it's not on my radar. But if you're a woman who is constantly having to deal with things like that, it's an issue to you, And so I definitely want to get into that, as well as other topics that I want to get into. But I kind of want to have like a one-stop shop for everything. We have like these deep topics, but at the same time we have fun and back and forth. And at the end of the day, I want this show to be both entertaining and informative. And so that's the goal. That's the angle. And I like engaging with you guys. I like, talking to and having you guys talk back in the sneaker community. And so on that note, this is, I guess theoretically, this could be episode 317. Theoretically. So even though I didn't record it at all, which is fine because I could just pull it from YouTube. But on that note, this is African Caesar. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. I may or may not be with Dunks tomorrow, but even if he's not here, I will be. And we will be, let me remind you guys, this will be on the Sneaker Box podcast or the Sneaker Box channel, unless Sneaker Bar Detroit tells me otherwise, unless they want to keep it on here. But created a whole channel, the Sneaker Box YouTube channel. Look it up. You'll see our logo. That way we can kind of do what we want to do without having any restrictions. And like I said, we would have been on there today, but YouTube has this 24-hour thing. So definitely want to go to our YouTube channel, the Sneaker Box, and you will catch us there. I will be posting stuff on social media so that you guys know. Yeah, so we'll go from there. Anyway, this is the African Caesar. This is the Sneaker Box Show, or the first true episode of the Sneaker Box Radio Show. I will see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And be safe and be blessed. I'm out. Peace.